It's kind of an art as well to have the right approach to know your users and your customers.
Hi, everyone. Welcome back to another conversation with. My name is Terrence Fox, Head of Innovation with iAdvize, and it's my pleasure to tackle today's topic, building customer experiences that your users will love. As we all know, in the first 3 months of the pandemic, e-commerce increased as much as it had in the previous 10 years. Visitors became intensely focused on convenience, safety, trust, and of course, the experience provided on the site. It was and still is a tremendous opportunity for brands looking to capture those not yet loyal customers and browsers hitting your site at a time when loyalty has been tossed aside. I've said in numerous segments, McKinsey's stat 75% of consumers are changing how, when, why, and where they're buying from in the pandemic. So it's my pleasure to talk to a real leader and I'll say pioneer on this front of creating an experience that your users will love. Amandine Durr, who is the product leader for European do-it-yourself brand ManoMano, has created such an environment for her customers. Amandine, pleasure speaking with you.
Hello, and thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. It's always great to talk to someone over on the other side of the water.
Yeah.
Things are crazy in the US and they're crazy over there still, but slowly returning to normal.
Yes, definitely looking forward to it.
So, how have your last year and a half been? How have you been staying busy? What have you been up to avoid going crazy when stuck at home?
Well, basically, all this pandemic time and like the changes it occurred created something interesting for me. It's like I tried to create some new routines, some new habits.
Mm.
So of course, stuck at home, work from home, and something that I was really attached to, which is compartmentalization. Managed to say the word. Has been very challenging. Suddenly, everything is blurred, right? Your bedroom is your office. You have your kids around you all the time, and so I felt a bit tricky, honestly, at first. And
Mm.
then I built new routine on it. Now I'm all set in my bedroom to work, and now my daughter tells me each time I go to my room, no, no, don't go to work, mommy. So it feels like there is a new routine in place, and I'm finally okay with that. And otherwise, I don't know, I've been like listening to new stuff, especially to podcasts to get inspired, and found like some very very good inspiration there. I think there are a lot of creativity as well that emerged from this whole situation.
Yeah, I can relate to, of course, having a thin wall separating you from your children. Not always easy to step into work mode,
Yeah,
at home.
definitely. But
And
it's
it's
also a way to I think it renews the way you consider your home.
yeah,
Actually, maybe we'll touch base about that later with ManoMano, but it has a big impact on us on how you really consider your home, how you set your home to make it like fitter with your life. That's something very interesting.
yeah. So I want to ask you, and you can't say mano mano, but tell me about a memorable digital experience you've had as a
Mhm.
consumer.
Yeah.
And yes, you can't say your own website.
Okay. Um, I guess maybe going back to what I was saying about all the creativity and I mean the knowledge that is accessible right now. I'm a huge fan of Spotify,
Mm.
and I had, I guess, like small memorable, sorry, experience using that platform in different ways. First of all, again, I think they did very good work at implementing podcasts in their experience. And when you're such a big platform working on music, it's not that easy to introduce a new format. So in that aspect, they did a great job in the discovery of the podcast world. And maybe another thing that is like very interesting and important to me is the little human touch they managed to introduce in the platform, and with a very simple idea. I'm a big fan of adding a cover picture now
Mm.
to my playlists. I have tons of playlists and playlists for my daughters, and now I can put the picture of my daughter as a cover of my playlist, and it feels good to have like her picture next to, I don't know, Lauryn Hill or any other artist I'm listening to.
Yeah, that's a little personality, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I
Exactly.
think little things like that do happen to go a long way, right? I think we're
Yeah,
seeing a lot of that, especially
absolutely.
digitally.
Yeah, you want to create emotional bond with your users. I guess
Right.
that's really important.
And now you associate that playlist with your daughter, with being happy, with music, with Spotify, right?
Exactly.
All changed.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And have you learned anything about yourself as a consumer? Have you changed?
Um, I mean, as a consumer, I think it was an accelerator for me buying on e-commerce platform. So it's a bit banal, but this really is just something that I had no choice doing. So I
Mm,
guess it really broke any remaining barriers in buying even complex or expensive stuff online. But also, I think it's raised my standards. So in terms of like customer service, delivery experience, etc., etc. That's the counterpart of being more open to buy. You're also get very much used to a great experience. So
right.
as a consumer, I experienced that, but of course, on the other side, as a someone working on a digital product, it's also my challenge.
So you've been spoiled,
Yeah.
Amandine. Yeah. I think we all have. Naturally, the one that you think of immediately with convenience is Amazon.
Yes.
So I think everyone can relate to that, certainly. So let's get to ManoMano and talking about creating user experiences that, of course, your users will love. Uh,
Hmm.
what has changed for ManoMano over the past year and through the pandemic?
Hmm. So I will start with just one figure. So ManoMano is the European leader, digital marketplace for home improvement and DIY,
Mm,
home, garden, you name it. So you find like more than 7 million products on the platform, covering all your needs for your home and gardening experience. And the one figure is multiplied by four. This is the result of the lockdown. Our sales were multiplied by four.
wow.
So it's big accelerator. And something that is interesting there, it's of course during lockdown in a market that is not very much digitalized as home
Mm,
improvement. You know, you still have the big box players,
right.
physical stores. There was a big decrease of competition because obviously for 2 quarters last year, most of those stores were closed. But most importantly, for us, there was a higher demand.
Right.
The same way you're locked in your house, you have nothing else to do than
Right.
improving it and DIY. So there was a like big increase in demand. And so what is interesting there is obviously that demand converted much more to e-commerce.
Mm,
Again, on a vertical that still has a lot of room for more digitalization. So for us, it was a great acceleration and a great opportunity to maintain those users over the time, you know. And now, I mean, competition is back. It's been a long time already. The demand is still high, so that's very interesting, and they're much more up to e-commerce as a reflex, you know.
mm.
So this has been a very interesting year for that aspect.
And so, on the topic of creating an experience for your users that they will love, it obviously means you have to know them, right? You have to become the expert on what they're interested in, what their friction points and things like that. How do you even begin to do that?
Yeah. That's a good question. I think that's very something on which we are lucky if you operate only in digital because you get more data of your client by nature, you know.
Right.
And so the main answer to your question is like by knowing them.
Mm,
But of course, it's kind of an art as well to have the right approach to know your users and your customers. So there are different levels and different ways to do that. The first immediate approach we have of knowledge of our users is with the data we have on like the behaviors, their clicks, the
mm,
events that we collect on each of our platforms. But that's not enough, right? At one point, you also want to have a more qualitative approach to your users.
right.
And so we do a lot of user research of all kinds. Actually, a very interesting way we have to know better our users is by reading and analyzing all the chats we have with them. So, you know, we make between 5,000 to 10,000 chats per day, conversations per day on our platform. So that's just like a huge pool of knowledge of our users that we can extract some interesting elements from and some priorities. And actually, it was thanks to some conversations like that that we analyzed, that we opened some new business opportunities for the platform.
Hmm.
Something that was created during the lockdown. It was an initiative we called ManoMano, which was basically a free hotline to repair stuff at your home in a time where nobody could come and fix it for you. We opened that kind of service. And based on the conversations we got from those services, we created a new navigation on the platform that is more linked to how to manage a DIY project versus what
Ah,
product should I buy. This was directly linked from user research from the conversations we had.
right. And of course, I can imagine people that hit your site, while they might have an immediate transaction in mind, it's more about the entire project.
Exactly. And that's actually a shift we're doing. We're a pretty young company. We've been around for 7 years. And we started tackling the product needs, and reaching a level with like millions of products, European footprint, where we are very legitimate in that area. But now we are switching to this new approach to the user, like behind the purchase of the product, what is your need? And
Hmm.
this is something that is extremely powerful with our vertical. And we are lucky actually to be in that vertical for that aspect. Like if you compare, for instance, someone who's purchasing on Amazon, someone who's purchasing, I don't know, a insect repeller. Um, yeah, so that stops here. Maybe he has a bug in his house. Okay. If you purchase, I don't know, a faucet, where maybe you're redoing your whole kitchen or your whole bathroom, and that
Right.
opens a whole new story and a whole new relationship with the clients. We can help you further, just already buy that faucet. Will be technical, will be complex, but furthermore, we can help you along the way.
Yeah, I think that's as someone who probably would hold a hammer upside down. I can imagine that sort of advice as it pertains to the entire project being super
Yeah,
beneficial. And I
definitely.
also like what you said earlier about the conversations. You're having 5 to 10,000 on the site a day, and this is a great opportunity to learn from those people who are hitting your site for the first time, right? Because
Yeah.
it's customers and of course new visitors.
Mm,
And when I compare that to what a lot of clients share they're doing today, which is post purchase surveys,
mm,
you're only getting a small fragment of your user base to actually fill those out. Whereas the
yeah.
conversations, it's everyone, right? Very beneficial. And are there any particular challenges or rewards you've seen in designing experiences for all the crazy nuances of the home improvement vertical?
Yeah. Well, first of all, it's interesting what you just said, because our approach is really to have like real human being available to talk to you on the pre-sale side, and of course as well on the after buy. But
Right,
the ratio is 90% of conversation is pre-sales at
ah,
ManoMano, and 10% after sales, because there is a lot of opportunity there to be memorable, to be different, and so this is really our approach there. And all the more important because we are in that vertical that you mentioned, that has a lot of challenges. It's
right,
technical, so you're afraid you're going to buy the wrong product. It's
right.
cumbersome, like uh, what if I have problem delivering that very, very huge and heavy piece.
Yeah,
How
and some
I'm
of these are
going to return that? So it's
expensive products
yeah.
too. I'm sorry to keep cutting you off.
No, no, it's okay.
Yeah,
And so those are the challenges of our vertical. It's also like something behind is, all right, I'm gonna do something and maybe I'm gonna mess up my project and it will last like this for 10 years in my living room.
right.
So those are the big challenges.
Yeah.
All of this online, and as you mentioned as well, with very different relationship to DIY. You have the passionate ones, you have the very reluctant ones.
Hmm.
So we have to take into account all of this when we design those experience. And so that's necessarily, it requires a lot of empathy. And
Right.
the best way to have that is to understand your users and to really have someone who can talk with them. Because the counter side of this is when you achieve a project, it creates a lot of pride, a lot of happiness, and a lot of good connection with the brand, the company, or the person who helps you do it. So that's the sunny side of it.
Right. So obviously, a very, like you were saying, a very human focused experience has been built in.
Yes, for me, so we have this community of 500. We call them the man advisors.
Mm,
So real experts in their vertical, like working on the website, and they're really the soul of our platform.
yeah, the soul of the platform. Absolutely. And you can imagine being able to talk to an actual expert instead of a typical transactional experience like we talked about, or talking to someone who maybe isn't well versed in the project that you're looking to accomplish. It does help position ManoMano as that destination for expertise.
Yeah, absolutely. And so for that aspect, chat is a solution.
Right.
Having those real experts is a differentiation. But there are also many ways to um, use and expose that knowledge of that experts beyond conversations.
Mm,
We've used a lot of tools to create automated Q&As based on previous conversations, so that the next visitor that comes to your website find the answers without necessarily having to talk to someone. So
right.
there's a lot of richness that you create out of the conversations along the way.
So you're extracting opportunities for cost savings from these conversations.
Yeah, it's like user knowledge again for us, and
Right.
it's also self-service advice for the next visitor of the website.
Wonderful. Well, Amandine, we're almost at time. I don't want to keep you much longer. I do want to ask, as someone who is, of course, a part of a program, and ManoMano being on the cutting edge of creating a user experience that, as we've said a few times, visitors love. Looking into your crystal ball, is there anything else that you're excited about this year in particular, or things that you can say you're working on without going into your confidential stuff?
Well, I guess it's really I will go back to what we were discussing at the beginning. Like the way that we envision our home is really changing. And I
Mm,
guess everything regarding how you can sustainably build your home, so that you feel well in it, but also it feels well for the environment, is
right.
something that we are gonna invest much more. It's a kind of a holistic approach of the home where
Right.
we are very well positioned.
Yes. Okay. So tapping into that sustainability and everything else. Absolutely.
Definitely. Yeah.
Well, Amandine, it was such a pleasure to talk to you. Thank you so much for the time.
Thank
Uh,
you.
and I hope to be able to drag you onto one of these again in the near future.
That would be fun. Thank you very much.
Absolutely. Thank you again, Amandine Durr, product leader for European leader in home improvement, ManoMano, here to talk through building experiences that your customers will love at a time when there's a tremendous opportunity to capture more audience. Thank you again, Amandine. We'll see you next Tuesday for the next conversation with Talk Then.